I remember last year after Swansea, first thing he said to me, I think I need to retire. And the next couple of races after that didn't go well either. It must be a real breath of fresh air to come out the other side like this.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember that actually. In Swansea, we were in like it was at a pub cafe, wasn't it? There was me, Laura, you and your Mrs. Paulina, weren't there?
Yeah.
And yeah, like I was really down, wasn't I? Disappointed. And then Lake Placid was the following weekend. Raced that, and that was probably the biggest low, because obviously I guess when you've had one low in like Swansea, and then you go to the race the next week, and then that goes even worse. Like it was, it was really that was probably the lowest I've been, to be honest, since I've been doing triathlon. I was really disappointed then, and I did feel like retiring, but I knew deep down like I wasn't going to, like it wasn't right. But I really did feel like, oh, maybe maybe it is time. Do you know what I mean? Like can I get there? I mean, like back again to good form. I was training well but I just wasn't doing it in the races, and it was really disappointing. I was it was it was just it was a horrible time, but pleased to turn to like put a just to turn things around really, and New Zealand was a massive step in the right direction. I was just just to show that things are going well, and obviously to do the race 7 minutes quicker than what I did last time when I won it, that was a big confidence booster, because I would say this year the conditions on the bike were slower than when I did it in 2020, but the run conditions were faster. It was like overcast on the run, and it wasn't as hot as what it was back in 2020. So yeah, just really pleased with that. And also my swim, to be fair, because a lot of people don't really know, but I had 6 weeks out of the water from right at the end of November to the 12th of January, where I didn't swim at all. I had an injury that had been getting worse and worse, which is probably why I wasn't swimming too well, to be honest, in the summer, because although I was doing well in training, maybe one of the reasons why I wasn't doing as well in open water was maybe could have been because of that. But I decided I had to do something about it. I was rehabbing it. I had to take 6 weeks out of the water, and then when I did get back in, it was like with a run injury, what you get, where you can't just suddenly come back from a run injury and then start smashing track sessions, 10k track sessions, big threshold sessions, tempo. It's like you have to build up. You have to start with a walk run kind of approach, and really gradually do it. And that was the same with my swim. So when I started back on the 12th of January, I was only doing literally like 1k in the pool, 1.5k. I think for the 2 weeks in Gran Canaria, I did like 2k. Was like my biggest swim, probably like just over 2k, 2.3k, something like that. And it wasn't until I got out to New Zealand on like the 6th of February, I actually swam over 3k and started actually doing proper sessions, like what you'd call like a threshold session. So I really only had 2.5 weeks of swim training going into the race. So to swim 51 minutes was a huge step in a huge positive, shall I say, with the limited swim training that I'd done. And obviously this was just because of the injury. It wasn't by choice. Like I'd like to have done more swimming, but that was really pleasing.
Yeah, I feel like watching the race, you had pretty excellent swim, bike and run. So what do you think your weakness was there?
The weakness, obviously, I would say was the swim. Like I still lost 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes. It was not a bad swim for me, but obviously in the grand scheme of things, that was a weakness. And then I'd say maybe the bike, I had a few problems which did lose me some time. How much time is hard to say, but basically 20 minutes into the race, I lost a bottle which had all my carbs in. Like I had a load of gels in there. I think I had 360 grams of carbs, and that went on the floor. I would have turned around and picked it up, but I looked as it hit the floor and it completely splattered open. And I was like, oh God, like this is not good. I had some energy drinks on the bike which had 90 grams of carbs in each, so I knew I had 270 grams in total on my bike. And so I was like, right, I've got 270 grams of carbs there, and I've got 2 gels with 30 grams. So I only had 330 grams of carbs on me completely to do the whole Ironman. So I knew I needed to stop at aid stations. So basically every aid station I had to grab gels. I was trying to get like 2 if I could. I think I got 2 gels at like two of the aid stations, and then 1 gel at most of them. 1 aid station I missed it, and I lost another bottle which had some energy drink in at around the halfway point. that was like 90 grams I lost. So basically I had 240 grams in total, not counting the stuff that I got from the aid stations. I can't remember how many gels I got, but I got as many as I could. But that limited me because I could only take the gels really when I went to an aid station. And then I didn't get as many carbs in as I would have liked to. I don't know how many. It's hard to work out because I wasn't really thinking about it when I was riding. I just knew I needed to get as many as I could in. But then when I started the run, I had a load of gels in one of them soft flasks that I put in my suit. So I just tried to get in a load of carbs at the start of the run. And I feel like that lost me some time on the bike, because had I had all my gels and with the 3 bottles that I had, I wouldn't have probably needed to stop at any aid stations, because I only had 3 bottles the whole ride. I might have got 1 bottle with some water just to like just to take some water on and to put some on me to cool myself down, but that would have been the only aid station I'd need to stop at, and I would have saved time just riding through the aid stations. Probably would have had a little bit more energy. I think I could have caught up to the lead group. It would have probably been after maybe Mike Phillips attacked, and maybe I might have got there before he attacked. I don't know. I definitely would have cemented second place a lot easier. Whether or not I would have got the win, that's a tall order, 3 minutes, but who knows? Like, it would have been faster, definitely, for sure. Whether or not I'd have changed the position, been nice to think that it would have, but I don't know. Like, it's different. Even if I had have been with Mike when he had attacked on the run, the fact that we were both ran 1 second difference from each other, it would have been a more of a mental battle. It would have just been who cracked, and we might have ended up both running slower than what we ended up doing, or we might have both pushed each other to faster run times, but it would have been very exciting. And obviously we were really evenly matched on the run. Looking at the final results, Mike would have had more in the tank for sure, I reckon. Like, you know, with a 3 minute lead, that last 5-6k on the race day, he would have probably known that he had it, so he was probably had more in the tank and didn't overexert himself. With my own performance on the run, I felt like I was running hard, but I didn't have that extra, that, what do they say in French, Tyler? What's the word? That je ne sais quoi.
Yes, what we have here, Uncle, is a case of a je ne sais quoi,
I felt like I was a bit rusty, if I would be the word. You know, like I needed another race, you know, a rust buster, you know. It was like I feel like I could have gone harder, but I couldn't on the day. And I've been trying to wrap my head around why that would have been. And I think that's just, you know, if I had a race in Ironman in 2 or 3 weeks' time, I think I could do a really good one. You know, just from having got 1 race in already. Maybe it wouldn't have been, I don't know. Maybe, like, to be honest, normally when I've done this race, I've done Wanaka first, 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. But there was no pro race in Wanaka, so I didn't have that. And maybe the Wanaka race in the past has really set me up for a good one. And potentially thinking, like, with that not being there, maybe I would have done better if I kind of did like my own simulation thing and I did a really hard 3-4 hour session, you know, really TT'd it on the bike, you know, max effort kind of thing like you would do in a half, and then go into a run off the bike. Maybe that would have kind of just brought that extra bit of fitness that maybe might have made me able to run faster on the run. There's a lot of maybes being said here because I don't really know, but I just felt like I was a bit I needed a race basically. I think that's what you could say. But like, still 240, a lot faster than I've ever run on this course in the past. So massive positive. And considering we're only at the start of March, things will probably get quicker. And anyone that's done the Ironman New Zealand run course knows that it's certainly not flat. I think there's 200 and something meters of climbing on that run course. So that bodes well for the rest of the season for sure. Just before we go and stop finishing and talking about the race, I've got to show you this audio. This was John Felwell, who was out there watching me during the race, cheering me on. We'd been training the whole time, and this is coming to the dying stages of the race. I'm catching up with Jack Moody. We're 1 kilometre from the finish line, and this is where the overtake happened. And this was John egging me on. This is like to the bitter death. This is like my heart rate hit 172 beats per minute. My max is 176, and this is what it's all about. In an Ironman, emptying the tanks, everything you've got to get second place. I hope you like it.
3 minutes, it's all over in 3 minutes. Take him, come on. Love it. Love it. Keep pushing, mate, all the way to the line. Come on.
So this overtake is 4:40 per mile, about 2:55 kilometre pace.
Let's go.
Unfortunately for everyone tracking and wanting to watch, it wasn't televised. Only the Pro Series was televised, I believe. Should I say, what are the reasons you're not targeting the Pro Series this year?
There's a few reasons, really, and the first reason why I did this race was because I wanted some motivation to train over the winter. I loved New Zealand, and I knew going there for a month beforehand I could use it as a bit of a training camp to kind of set me up for the race and set me up for the season. You know, because the British winter's very savage, like to get the proper bike and run miles in. So that was one reason of doing it. And also, I just love the country. Like, I just absolutely love going over there. The people, the place, the scenery. It's incredible. And I really missed not having been there for 5 years. So that was one reason why I wanted to do it. And then I was really thinking about the Pro Series, doing South Africa or Texas. And I just felt like after coming back from New Zealand, and then now I'd be racing South Africa in 2 weeks' time, it would probably be too much with the travelling. And that is also one of the reasons why I'm not going to be doing any of the, or really pursuing the Pro Series, is because there's just so much travelling, and I just don't like the way the schedule really fits together. You know, it's a lot of like, you've got to nail 3 Ironmans. That's all well and good if you nail every single one of the 3 that you do. Otherwise, it's 4 Ironmans, and you just find yourself chasing your tail, going here, there, and everywhere. And to be honest, I don't really like doing that. Like, in the past, I've always done really well when it was like you could pick a race, you could really target it, prepare for it, and there was no series. It was just, I need to nail this race. This is the one that counts. You do that, then you move on to the next one. I don't like throwing random races in if a race doesn't go well, and then travelling all around the world on a schedule that doesn't necessarily work for me or suit me. And then another reason is just financially, to be honest. I just don't really think the Pro Series is that good financially unless you'd podium overall. If you podium overall, don't get me wrong, the money's great. $200,000 for first, I think $130,000 for second. Off the top of my head, it's either 70 or 90,000. I can't remember for third. That's great, you know, if you get that. But if you get 6th place in the Pro Series, the money's not that great. 10th place, I think, is $10,000. You'll go into a lot more races that are more stacked. If you get 6th place in some of these races, you're probably only walking away with $3,000-4,000. You minus the tax, what you might get taxed in some of these countries, off your prize money, 30 to 40%, you might be walking away with $2,000. It's cost you over $2,000 to travel to the race for accommodation. So you're going away with a loss. 6th place in a Pro Series race might be a great result, but unfortunately, you're going away with negative money in your bank account. That's just the way it is. That's just the way the prize money works, unfortunately. So you're kind of banking, you're putting it all in, whether or not you finish in the top 5 of the rankings in the Pro Series. If you're not top 5, it doesn't really work out, because you get this 6th place, like I just mentioned, in a Pro Series race. Unfortunately, you're probably not getting any bonuses from your sponsors. I don't know how other athletes, it works out for other athletes, but for me personally, top 3 in an Ironman, you get bonuses off your sponsors. So if you get 4th place, you don't get any bonuses. You're only left with your prize money. So you get 4th place in a Pro Series race, you're probably going to get, off the top of my head, I would have to check, so don't quote me on this 100%, but you can check online. It's all online anyway. You're probably going to get about $6,000. Like I say, take away the tax, you're going to go away with about $4,000 for a 4th place probably in an Ironman. No bonuses from your sponsors unless you're very lucky and you get bonuses for 4th place in an Ironman. So you're literally, all your eggs are in the basket of, I need to get a top 3 in the Ironman Pro Series. That would be great if you manage to do it, but it's a big gamble, and it doesn't really make financial sense to me to chase around and to gamble on that. You know, it is a job at the end of the day, and I'm here to make money. Like that's the truth of the matter. And if you're a professional, that's what you've got to be looking at that. You can do a normal Ironman event. You could win it. Like, for instance, I think if you won New Zealand, it wasn't as high, nowhere near as high a prize money as a Pro Series race. I mean, I say nowhere near. It was 50,000 less total prize money, total prize pot, than a Pro Series race, than most of the Pro Series races. Some of the Pro Series races do have more money, but for winning, you probably get like $10,000 less. But it's a lot easier to win. You get bonuses for your sponsors for top 3. So 3rd place in a race like Ironman New Zealand would get me considerably more money than a 4th place in a Pro Series event. So it just makes more financial sense. I get to do races that I want to do. I can prepare for them properly, and I'm not chasing my tail around. So that's honestly a big thing. And yes, I'm not going to be in the running for any big paycheck at the end of the season, you know, but if I do well in these normal races, it could be a good little earner. And that's truthfully, that's one of the reasons, really. You know, if the Pro Series races had double the prize money at each individual event, I'd probably go for the Pro Series, because it would make it worth my while to take the punt. But I just don't really think it worth my while, to be honest. Like, you know, I would, and I can still race the top guys at the World Championships. I'm qualified for the World Championships in Nice, and if I'm going to a World Championships, I'm happy to take a punt, race the best guys in the world. I've been to Kona loads of times before, raced the best guys in the world, and been in the mix. I've had a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, and I'm happy to do that in Nice. I'm looking forward to it. That's very motivating. But I don't really see the point in taking the punt at every single race and potentially chasing my tail around and making a loss at multiple races, which just doesn't make any sense. You know, you've got a family, you've only got a limited amount of years in this sport. You need to think about yourself and to make money. And the Pro Series for me doesn't make sense financially.
With that being said, and you being, I think safe to say, kind of back in form almost, what's next for you?
And like back in form, like I would say, to be honest, like I have been training really well over the last couple of years. It was just not executing in the races, and I think it was because mentally I was a bit lacking. If I'm honest, you know, my head wasn't really in the game. There was a lot of stuff going on, and I think that was what was preventing me. But I feel like I've put that behind me now, and what is next is I'm in Oceanside because I'd committed to that a long time ago. I've got all my flights booked and everything, accommodation, so I'm going out there. That's to have a bit of fun, really, to hope for the best. If I could get, say, a top 5, top 6 in Oceanside, I'd be really pleased. Like, that would be a really good result for me, I think, like over the half distance. But my next big full distance that I'm targeting, which I would say is my next big A race, is Ironman Austria, which is on the 15th of June. I'm going, I'm going to get a really good block of training in for that, and hopefully be in really good form. And then I'll look to do another Ironman after Austria. I need to check the calendar properly, but ideally something within between 3 to 5 weeks. Potentially Ironman Leeds. That looks like quite a good one. It's easy to get to. It's only about a 4-hour drive for me to get to Leeds. So that could be one that I go to.
You could film that as well.
Yeah, Tyler says he could film it, so that would be a really cool one. What I wanted to do in New Zealand, actually, which I'm not sure whether or not it's in the rules, and I was a bit worried about doing it because I didn't want to get disqualified, was getting the Insta 360 on the hat. You know, having it on the cap, you know, in training or something. Like, you know, or not having it on the cap, like in transition, and then just picking it up with the camera on, because I thought it would be really cool. But I was a bit worried about getting DQ'd, but that would be funny.
So I saw yesterday, I think it was, that you have built a new kind of Patreon community. Do you want to talk about that? Yeah,
so we set this community up called JYD, Junkyard Dogs. A lot of you guys might know that that's kind of my thing. Like, it started in New Zealand actually 5 years ago, with a friend of mine who I do the Triathlon Mockery podcast with, Tom. He started barking at someone, and we called it the Junkyard Dog. And I think I kind of made it popular when I did it in sub 7 and barked at Christian, and since then that's kind of been our thing. And we set a community up, we set a JYD community, and basically it's on Patreon. So I do some podcasts where I do them with people, when I'm at some of these races. So I did one with Fenella Langridge, I did one with John Felwell, who I was actually out in New Zealand training with. He's an electrician from the Wirral, and he trains full time. Well, I say train full time, sorry, he works full time and just trains on the side, but he's managed to get his pro license. He's been coming with me to a lot of these races, and we have a right laugh. So I did a podcast with him talking about our New Zealand thing, and it makes me laugh because he had a real rough time in New Zealand. He got ill from sitting next to someone who was horrifically ill on the flight, coughing all over him. So that took him down after a day or two of getting into New Zealand, and then the first day he started feeling better in New Zealand. The poor sod got run over by someone in a car and he just couldn't make it up. So he got run over, I got run over, and then it ended up taking him down, but it was basically both of us. But yeah, we've set a community up and we put a bit of content on each week, at least one bit, sometimes 2 or 3, which can be workouts that you can get onto your gut training peaks that you can upload onto your Garmin, so you can do them, bike workouts, run workouts, some swimming ones. I'm analysing my training data, my race data from Ironman New Zealand. So we're looking at all the data. I've got the heart rate, power data, and we're going to talk through it, where I put the attacks in. I was in a pack at the start in New Zealand. We'll look at the power data, show you what the power data was, sitting 4th to 6th place in the pack, show you what I had to do to kind of like put an effort in to break away from the pack and to try and go with one other guy, Ben Hill, to try and close the gap to the leaders on the bike. And then a bit towards the end of the bike where I was like fading, and we'll break down all the data, same with the run as well, and this is all with heart rate data, so I really break into the numbers and show you an insight into pro racing that you wouldn't really get from anyone else. And also some unique podcasts, like when I'm in Oceanside, hopefully I'll have the opportunity to speak to a few of the other pros out there, and we can kind of get some different insights from them, not your normal questions that you get on podcast, but more of like a normal conversation, and try and get them to come out of their shell. So yeah, the community is going to have a lot of that kind of on it, and hopefully keep you guys engaged and show you a lot more stuff from behind the scenes as a professional athlete. We're going to also do a video which will show some behind the scenes stuff from Ironman New Zealand. Like before I was racing there, we went onto the velodrome to test a few things out in New Zealand, because there was an outdoor velodrome in Taupo, so we're going to get some of that in. We'll get some race day footage and put that on the video as well. So yeah, just some extra stuff that's not on the normal channels, and hopefully will keep you entertained really. And also when I go to races, if there's other people there from the JYD, we can do some meetups, go for a run, a pre-race run or something like that. And then after the race, get some food, go out, have a drink, just basically a platform where when you go to a race, if you're part of it and there's other people there, you've got friends that you can go out with and like potentially message, share accommodation, everything like that, and give you a behind the scenes look into what it's like, what some other stuff's like as a pro. All right, guys, so yeah, a bit of a breakdown from the race and a little bit about what I've got coming up next. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you next time for a good old training video.